Hi everyone, my name is Bence and today I'm answering fitness-related client questions under the topics of PEDs, hormones, enhancements, diet, and training. Let's start with the first question from Jay. Why do I feel lethargic when I'm on a cutting phase and staying on Reta too tight and on TRT? So I started to notice that more and more guys are feeling lethargic and down on themselves when they are on a cutting phase and on a GLP-1 drug. And it seems like there is a correlation between them. So it seems like that GLP-1 drugs are lowering dopamine signaling, which is making you a bit less motivated, less happy in general, and less driven in life, even if you are on TRT or on other steroids. So to me, it seems like that this is a kind of trade-off that you need to accept if you want to use GLP-1 drugs for cutting. And also it's another factor that you are not eating as much. So if you combine being in a calorie deficit, doing a lot of cardio, lot of work, lot of working out, you will not really feel very energized, even if you are on TRT. So according to my experience, this is some kind of trade-off that you need to accept anyway when you are shooting for a really lean physique and you want to take your body fat levels really low. So I would say it's normal and in a way you need to live with it, but I think that you can also incorporate refeed days on the days when you are getting very lethargic, very weak in the gym and not getting any pumps. But overall, on a calorie deficit, and especially when you are using GLP drugs, you should expect that you are a bit lethargic, a bit lower on the energy levels, and not as motivated as usual. Next question. How to travel with TRT if I don't have my prescription? So this is something that a lot of guys ask me, but I don't really think that you need to worry. According to my experience, I never had a problem taking testosterone with myself on an airplane, and talking with other clients or other people is the same experience. Also, bodybuilders, when they are traveling to shows overseas, usually they are bringing everything that they need in a checking bag. So I think for the most part, you are safe. Obviously, you shouldn't bring an amount of testosterone with yourself that is really high. So I would advise everyone who is traveling that if you are traveling TRT without a prescription, just bring the amount of testosterone that you need for that certain amount of time and don't bring more. And this is not a medical or any kind of legal advice, of course. Next question from Chad. Should I do my cardio before lifting? No, overall, I think you should do your cardio after lifting all the time. I think you always need to prioritize the lifting because that's what's building your muscles. That's the kind of activity that is maintaining your muscle mass. Put your best effort and most energy into that and do the cardio always after. So if you are lifting in the morning, I would say don't do the fasted cardio, just do the lifting and do the cardio right after that. And on your rest days, you can do the morning fasted cardio. Next question from Brian. What is a good level to keep estradiol at? I think it depends on what kind of goal you have. If you are on TRT, I think 30 to 40 picograms per milliliter of estradiol level, what you should be shooting for in general. Some guys are feeling good even if it's a bit higher. Some guys are feeling good even if it's a bit lower. So you don't need to be very specific with it, but I think the 30-40 range is good. If you are on bigger steroid cycles and in a bulking phase when you are trying to gain muscle mass, I think it's acceptable if it's a bit higher, so 50, 60, or even 70 picograms per milliliter can be accepted because estradiol is also shown to be neuroprotective and it's also acting like an antioxidant. So it's basically very protective against damage that steroids would cause in your body, but obviously you can't have it at a very, very high level because then you are risking side effects like water retention, high blood pressure, and gynecomastia. I think when you are doing a cutting phase, it makes sense to keep it at a bit lower level. For example, let's say 20 micrograms per milliliter overall. And when you are really close to a photo shoot or for a bodybuilding show, I think you can drive it even lower to 15 or 10. Next question is also from Brian. So are estrogen and estradiol the same? They are not the same. Estradiol is a type of estrogen, and this is the type of estrogen that basically is the most potent, and testosterone is aromatizing into. But we have basically three types of estrogen in the male body, and these are estrone, estradiol, and estriol. But in general, in men, we mostly measure estradiol, and that's what we are mostly concerned with. The next question is from Chad. So, how to lose body fat while maintaining or building muscle mass? I think this is a very complicated and individualized question. I think it highly depends if you are enhanced or not. I would say if you are natural, you are quite limited in this space, although you are able to do it if you are a complete beginner. But I would say if you are very advanced, it's very, very hard to do it and it would be a very slow process. If you are enhanced, then it's way easier. Basically, what's the most important is that you need to optimize insulin sensitivity. So you need to keep your body in an insulin responsive state, which means that carbohydrates should be used strategically. So it means that you need to cycle carbohydrates. So on certain days you are eating lower amounts to keep your body sensitive. And on other days, when, for example, you are doing a lot of volume in the gym or a heavier workout, then you can keep the carbohydrates higher. So you are making your body absorb it. Also, obviously, the more anabolics you are taking, this process will only work better and better. Thyroid functioning is also very key in this process. And also, usually, growth hormone is utilized to a degree when somebody is practicing a phase like this. But the key here is basically that hormones are the deciding factor if your body will be able to do this or not for the most part. And if the hormones are optimized to that degree, then nutrition and training is also key, and how you are changing the nutrition compared to the training and the PEDs. But overall, this would be a very, very complicated process to explain. So maybe in another video in the future. Next question from Jay. So my 18-year-old son wants to get shredded for the summer and he wants to take peptides. Should I let him to do it or not? So I think this is something that highly depends on the person. In my opinion, in an 18-year-old man, peptides, for example, could be used for injury recovery. So let's say he's having a surgery or I don't know, breaking his leg or something like that. Then certain peptides, in my opinion, can be used to speed up the recovery process. And also theoretically speaking, peptides wouldn't really carry a very high risk even in an 18-year-old guy. However, my opinion is that it's not good to install that kind of mindset in an 18-year-old man that he needs to use peptides to get shredded because probably he's still a beginner, probably he is just in the gym since 2 or 3 years, probably his nutrition could be dialed in even better, probably his training can be even better. So in my opinion, if you are very young and a beginner overall, I think that you should focus on the foundations and you should be able to get shredded without using peptides. So again, I don't think that they will be very harmful for you, but probably it's not the right mindset to install at that young of an age. So I would not personally recommend it. The next question again is from Jay. So what's the best way to tighten up loose skin? This is a kind of question that I was getting more and more often. And it seems like that two peptides are really beneficial in this. So one is GHK copper and the other one is growth hormone. So growth hormone seems like it's very potent in tightening up the skin. About GHK copper, I heard some anecdotal evidence, but I'm not fully convinced on the fact that it's really effective in that area or not. But growth hormone is for sure. However, overall, what I've seen with many of my guys who were having questions like this is that probably they were still having some body fat under the skin to lose, and they were thinking that they have loose skin, but in reality, they still had just body fat under that skin. So it was not really loose skin in the first place. The second thing is, I think, and that's what my experience is with my clients, even if you have loosened skin, it will look significantly better if you put on some more muscle mass. So I think mainly these two things should be your goals, like putting on more muscle, losing a bit more body fat, and then it will look 10 times better. And you can probably avoid the skin removal surgery that you initially was thinking about. The next question again is from Jay. So how to bulk properly without getting fat and blowing up the low handles? This is a good question again that I'm getting usually from more and more guys. And the answer here is that you need to do a reset phase first. So usually the guys who are coming to me and they want to bulk, they are not in the position to work. So for me, what I found is that to have a successful booking period, you need to start it from a low body fat percentage when your body is responsive. So your body basically should already be a bit hungry and you should have a low body fat percentage. I would say your body fat percentage should be 12% or lower. You should definitely see some abs going on. You should definitely have muscle definition and you should not really have visible body fat on your body. That's the most important. And I think you need to be very generous with the calorie intake increases. So I think when it comes to bulking, you need to really think on a longer term time frame. You need to think about on a 6 months to a year period of time, and you need to go very slowly. You shouldn't shoot for a fixed amount of weight that you are trying to gain every single month. So this is something I see with many guys, is that they are having questions like how much body weight should I gain when I'm bulking. This is not how it works, guys. You should look at your body. You should assess if the weight that you are gaining is body fat or muscle. If it's muscle and it's clean and your body is just looking bigger and better, and it's clearly muscle that you are putting on, then you can keep going and you can even add a little bit more food. But in my opinion, you should try to keep your body always lean at the whole timeline, because otherwise you will just mess up the process and your body will not be as responsive as before. If you are gaining body weight but you are not really seeing the performance increase in the gym, you are not really getting stronger, you are not really getting really bigger visibly in the right areas, then you are clearly eating too much. PEDs are a factor here again. So just as like with training and with food, with the PEDs also you should be progressively increasing, but it should not be a big increase. Like on a booking phase, I think you can get to a very good level with minimal to low amount of anabolics and just focusing on the food and working out. But overall, you should be trending up with the PEDs also very slowly. Also, even if you are doing everything right, on a longer time frame, you can get to a point where the body fat is simply too much. I think that's the time to do a mini cut, which would be a shorter time frame but very aggressive cutting phase to reset the body to start the bulk all over again. So the time frame for a mini cut would just be like 4 to 6 weeks, but the diet would be pretty intense. It would be a very intense and deep calorie deficit for like 4 to 6 weeks, and then building up the diet all over again. Next question. I'm on a testosterone gel, feeling run down, low energy. What is the problem? I had some clients who were on the testosterone gels, and every single time I was switching them to the injections. Testosterone gels can seem to be a very easy choice, but overall they are not easier than injectables at all, and they are way more problematic and they are way more complicated to use daily. So usually gels are something that you need to put on your skin every single day, and you need to wait 15 to 20 minutes until it's getting absorbed. So that's one thing. And usually the absorption is also varies from place to place. It varies, for example, if your body has some hair on it or it's shaved, or for example, if you are a little bit sweaty, then you will not absorb it at the same level. And the second biggest problem with the testosterone gels is that when you are putting testosterone in your skin, then your skin will heavily convert it into dihydrotestosterone, because the 5-alpha reductase enzyme is much more heavily present in the skin. So we are putting testosterone on your skin, a lot of that portion will just turn into DHT, and your testosterone levels will not be so substantially raised compared to the DHT levels. So overall, I think you need to inject. This is something exactly that I see with many guys, that they are taking testosterone gels but they are still feeling like low T. And the last question for today. I'm on Viagra, but my libido didn't improve. Should I try cialis? No, you shouldn't try. Viagra and cialis are basically vasodilators. So they will dilate the blood vessels everywhere in your body, and they are very effective in dilating those blood vessels in the penile tissue. So you will have a way easier time to get blood flow there and get an erection. But it will not help with your libido at all. Your sex drive mentally will be exactly the same. You will not be walking around after taking Viagra that you are desiring everybody and want to have sex with every single girl on the planet. For that, if you are lacking the mental part of the stimulation, you need to optimize your hormones. I see it constantly that many guys with low testosterone are getting prescribed Viagra and it's not solving anything. Many times when the testosterone is very low, the erection quality still will not be enough, it will still be bad. You will be soft in the middle of the act and you will not have a good experience. And secondly, you will not desire sex any more than before. It will not stimulate your mind at all. So if you are having libido and sex drive issues, cialis and Viagra and any of these things are not the solutions. The solution is to fix your testosterone levels and other hormonal variables. Thank you for everyone for listening today. And as I said, these questions are from my clients. But if you want me to answer your question, just submit it below this video or DM me on Instagram or school.